Thanks so much for joining us this week. Chairman Davis, you said multiple times throughout this process that you knew the maps wouldn't make everyone happy. Now that you voted, are you happy with the maps?
Don't think that I'd use the word happy, but I am pleased with the work product. I am happy with the process. I was happy that we had so many people participate in our public hearings. I was happy with the public's interest in submitting maps. I was really pleased with the commitment that all of the commissioners had to the process, and that we all seemed to want to get to a yes that we each believed in. And so I was very happy with that. But we didn't know where people were, and you hate to see good and decent legislators now have to run against each other, and that's always troubling for anybody, mind you. But otherwise, I'm pleased with the final work product that we have turned out as a commission.
Chairman Schmidt, I also wanted to ask you about that. Both you and Chairman Davis are products of the Senate. You've both been in Idaho politics for a number of years, and you both said a few times during the meetings that you couldn't take into account where incumbent lawmakers live when you are redrawing these maps. But it had to be in the back of your mind that certain maps would create headaches for, say, the House Majority Leader who lives in Star, or some other North Idaho lawmakers. How do you separate that when you're actually making those boundaries?
To me, it's a mental discipline. It's actually similar to what I have to do in the medical field. Sometimes I'm thinking about a patient and their well-being, and not the general picture. And sometimes when you do have to think of the general picture, the patient's well-being needs to be kept in a specific place in your mind. I have to honestly say, I didn't know where most legislators lived, and there was one time in public testimony, somebody tried to give us a map about where the legislators' homes were and how we were drawing the lines, and we just said, no, we don't want that map. That's not something we're considering. And so I believe all of our commissioners took that legal requirement very seriously. And as Bart said, it's not pleasant for folks. I'm sorry. We drew the lines where we drew them, and our job is to make representation appropriate, not make representatives comfortable. And so we're trying to fulfill the obligation of this representative democracy, and that's what I thought we had in mind, and I think that's what we did.
Let's talk a little bit about that task of ensuring appropriate representation. We now know that there's at least one legal challenge to the legislative map, pointing out that the one you adopted has 8 county splits. The petitioner, Brandon Durst, points out that there were ways to do the legislative map with just 7 county splits. So why did you go this route, knowing that it would likely be challenged?
I think any route we went would have been challenged. We considered, there is, in my opinion, a kind of a primacy of the categories of that we had to follow to make these legislative districts. And I think one man, one vote, appropriate representation is at the top of the list. Limiting county splits is a little bit lower. And so I thought having a very low deviation in the districts was very important, and we worked to accomplish that.
Chairman Davis, please.
If I could just briefly add to that, I like exactly the way Dan said it, but just to illustrate, if we had proposed a plan that had a 9.9 deviation and 8 county splits, and you could do a 7 county split with a 9.9 deviation from the most populated to the least populated district, well, then I think very candidly, the language in the Twin Falls case written by Justice Eisman would be controlling, and we would need to look more at a 7-county split. But the federal law is the primary law, just like my co-chair said, and our focus was on the deviation, and we found that we were able to get the deviation to a 5.84 deviation from the most to the least populated. All of the county splits, 7-county split maps, I personally don't think pay as much attention to equal protection principles as the plan that we have submitted, and we'll find out if the court says that no, that's not the standard, but that's been our charge, and we have worked hard to keep that deviation as low as we reasonably could.
There's the question of mathematical deviation, but there were also communities, including the Shoshone-Bannock tribe, that said, please don't split our community, and the commission ultimately did. Why did you choose to split Fort Hall?
Well, again, it's primarily dealing with equal protection principles. The Shoshone, Fort Hall itself is divided up into 3 counties: Howard County, Bannock County, and Bingham County. And of course, most of the population is in Bingham County. And as a member of that subcommittee, we worked hard to try to find a way to move. It's a little more than 2,000 people at the north end of Bannock County and move them up into Bingham County. But the statutes are written in a way that it made it difficult for us to provide the kind of treatment that I think we would like. But even setting the statutes aside, it's, as we have explained on the road and in our conversations with people, it's like a balloon. And if you push in here, it has an adverse impact everywhere else. And what we found was that if we moved the 2,500, or not 2,500, about 2,000, it's a little more as my memory goes, up into Bingham County, then it had an adverse impact on us being able to keep other areas whole. I'm extremely sympathetic to the concerns that were expressed, and can assure you and your viewers that was a primary factor that we went after to try and see if we could make work and keep our attention on equal protection principles.
Chairman Schmidt, I wanted to ask you your input. Did public testimony sway the commission at all, or was this a purely mathematical exercise?
I was very thankful to go around the state and get input, because there were lots of communities that we weren't familiar with, and so they could express their associations and how they saw their relationships, and that was very helpful. And we heard multiple specific examples of that in different places. There were also some testimony that was pretty much arguing for partisan decisions on our part, and we heard it, but we're prohibited from that. And so, I think giving the folks an opportunity to talk to us, for them to know that here we are drawing maps and we want their input, was a very important and very valuable process.
Chairman Davis, you are an attorney. You were in the Senate during the last redistricting round, and earlier you brought up the Twin Falls case, in which the Idaho Supreme Court in 2012 threw out the redistricting map that was submitted to the state. How much was that in the back of your mind while you were working with the commission?
Well, of course it was. On day one, we had some good training from the Attorney General's office. but very candidly throughout the whole process, even though I'd read the Twin Falls case and the Bonneville County case, and which obviously, as a resident of Bonneville County, I wanted to make sure I understood those issues, and other federal and state court opinions. We continue to learn through the process, and so, and I'm confident that I'm going to learn more through this process. There's not a great deal of case law to help a redistricting commission, and so we try to navigate through it the best we can with what we understand, because we want our efforts to be valuable, and we want the public input to be meaningfully reflected. And I guess the only thing I'd add to what Dan said before is sometimes the public testimony was in conflict with each other. Oh, yeah. And that's healthy, though. That's healthy to hear that one community sees it a little different than another, and that influenced how some lines were drawn. So, but no, you're absolutely right. Trying to be aware of those legal principles was important, and it was also nice to have Nels Mitchell, another very capable attorney, on the commission, and get his judgment in perspective. And he and I didn't always agree, but we mostly agreed with each other, and that was a great experience.
All right, Bart Davis, Dan Schmidt, thank you both so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.